new clinic dealing with issues affecting members of the LGBTQI plus community has opened in Illovo in Johannesburg, called the Queer Wellness Centre, or QWC. It's one of only 5 queer-friendly clinics in South Africa, each offering specific services. To tell us more, we are joined in studio. Well, to tell us more about the launch, we're joined in studio by Dr. Claudia Do Vale. Good to have you. Welcome.
Thanks very much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So, specific needs for a clinic like this, for a queer clinic. Talk to us about that. Why?
So we were a group of doctors that really felt people should have a space that they could be open about their healthcare and also about issues that are affecting them. So whether it was sexual health issues, anal health issues, and very often in a setting where you're in just like almost a heteronormative space, you may not have the opportunity or feel that it is a safe space to open up.
That's quite interesting. It's really interesting. I don't think people are actually aware, because we talk about the fact that this is one of 5 queer-friendly clinics in South Africa. I must be honest, I'm exposing myself here. I didn't even know that there were other clinics in South Africa that are queer-friendly and that cater to particularly the community, the LGBTQI community.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know the difficulties people from the queer community face.
Yeah.
And that as much as they have general health issues, they also do have specific issues that affect the queer community.
Perhaps you can give us a bit more detail in terms of how they differ. I know that you're saying that there's some that are, you know, that there are some diagnoses that they'll come in and have to be treated for, but how is this medical facility different to other medical facilities?
Well, it's essentially we have a group of specialists, subspecialists and general practitioners that have an interest in queer health. So all of the specialists, for instance, will work at different hospitals, but they've just dedicated time in their week to be there to be able to see people within the space. So, for instance, an example would be if you have a trans patient or a trans woman, to be specific, if they've been on hormone therapy for 5 years, they should be screened for both breast and prostate cancer. Yeah. So, you know, it's just kind of the small nuances of knowing what to treat, what to look for, what cancers to screen for as well. What are the complications from hormone therapy? And that sort of is why it is more nuanced and more specialized.
I can imagine as well that there's a lot of mental health issues that are addressed there as well, that are specific to the community. Would I be right in thinking that way?
Yes, that's correct. So we have a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and for instance, you have things like coming out stress. So there are very specific things that would affect mental health.
Yeah. Do you find that in sort of, I imagine we're in the beginning of the interview we spoke about it being a safe space for the queer community. Mainstream doctors and medical practitioners, are they still a little bit sort of, you know, nervous to talk about these kind of things and maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable in a normal environment? That's the wrong word. I shouldn't say that in a normal environment, but in a mainstream environment where, you know, it's maybe not as acceptable and maybe a bit taboo still, and that going into more of a safe space is the better option.
Well, I think, just in terms of how you are taught to take a history, it really fits that heteronormative, as I said before, viewpoint of, are you married? Do you have children? And it just assumes it has to be male and female. So that is what we are brought up with, and that is, brought up with, I should say, in terms of being taught. So I think most doctors do feel comfortable with that history taking and not actually comfortable, so it becomes very difficult to break that mold. Yeah,
that is, it's so interesting to think this way and have these kind of conversations. Talk to us about health concerns, though, particularly for the LGBTI community. You know, kidney-related, anoscopy, all of these kind of things as well that are a major concern.
So, in terms of anoscopy, that looks at particularly for anal cancer, and that is related to HPV, so human papillomavirus, and most women would know, oh, you need to go for a cervical pap smear, but the same is true to have an anal pap smear, and then the anoscopy would be the follow-up procedure from there. So these are things that aren't really discussed. And that is sort of what we were trying to change, to make it like more vocal and say this is normal and it's okay to discuss it and be open about it.
Please talk me down if I'm asking a stupid question, but in terms of fees and medical aids, how does that work?
So yeah, it is a fee for service,
Yeah.
and so we are charging medical aid rates. So
Great.
it would be the same as if you had to see a general practitioner somewhere else or a specialist anywhere else. As I said, everyone has their own practice. We're just dedicating time to see people in this space, so sort of the community has the ability to make the space their own.
Fantastic. I really think this is wonderful. The clinic, I believe, is also going to act as a platform to fast-track transgender affirmation therapy. Talk to me about this.
So we have an endocrinologist, and with a psychiatrist, we have a urologist who has been involved in trans surgeries before. So the idea there is just you have a whole entire team that people can have access to and potentially speed up the process.
But as I wrap up with you, let's talk to anybody that wants to visit the clinic. I mean, do you have to be a part of the community, or is it open to anybody to come through?
So it is open to anyone. So we say we're straight friendly as well.
Good.
But it's just in terms of the actual, we really do want to allow the queer community the ability to have sort of the space for them,
Yeah.
and know that they can discuss whatever they feel they need to discuss.
Fantastic. HIV and AIDS as well, I imagine, is a
Yep.
big concern. All right, thank you. Thanks for talking to us. I think this was a really interesting interview. Dr. Claudia Do Vale discussing the newly launched Queer Wellness Centre, or QWC, that's opened here in Johannesburg, in Illovo. There are now 5 queer-friendly hospitals around the country, so this is just adding to that. Thank you. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thanks very much.